These relationship conversations are TikTok for people over 35. You know how I'm on this gender wars are for stupid people train, which I am, and I deeply believe, but I've had another epiphany regarding that strain of thought. So I will say that there was a time when I thought it was like a ubiquitous thing that everybody was discussing, in large part because of Kevin Samuels. So we're talking about high value and splitting the bills. It was a little distraction. You know, we were pandemic and then post-pandemic, people are bored, people are isolated. It's just something to take up time. How much money men made. And I'm talking about the Black side of the internet, right? So that was the conversation. High value man, who makes what, respecting blue collar men, 50-50 date. That stuff has persisted. And it's persisted in large part because people are lonely still and isolated. And we have this marriage issue, partnership issue. And of course, we're in these constant conversations about the birth rate. But the other reason why these conversations about dating and who wants to have sex with men under 6 feet and 50-50 and splitting the mortgage is because these relationship conversations are TikTok for people over 35. This came to me this morning. These constant conversations about who is getting with who wants to date who, for what reason, the dating pool, 50-50, $200 dates, high value, low value, you're not pretty enough. It's TikTok for, I'm a middle millennials and older. What do I mean? I have been on this train for several months that I have had to extract myself from constantly being on social media because it was frying my brain. Now, it's frying all of our brains. What does Kara Swisher call it? The slot machine of attention. You're scrolling, you're liking, you're tapping, you're angry, replying, you feel compelled to check and see the next reel and whatever, okay? And now there is plenty of evidence that shows that we are compelled to log on to these social media platforms constantly because they are altering the structures of our brain, our dopamine receptors are fried. They're just not working the way that they used to. It's especially dangerous for young people. We're dopamine depleted. So we're sensory seeking, instant gratification, reward seeking, pleasure seeking. And as we know, pleasure is insatiable. The relationship conversations for the olds, and I'm putting myself, I'm not decrepit, but I'm getting up there. I told y'all the last time I streamed, I could not attend the Young Democrats meeting because you know what? It says in the bylaws of Young Democrats, you can't join if you're over 35. I accept it. I accept it. But the constant engagement around this particular conversation around dating, relationships, who's getting with who's sleeping with whose dick do you want to jump on? Oh, I'm disgusted by small, I'm disgusted by fat, I'm disgusted by big, I need 6 feet, 6-figure earner, you're just not pretty enough for that, your degree won't keep you warm at night, right? It's ways for, quite honestly, dopamine depleted old people, probably touch starved, isolated, intellectually understimulated old people to constant hit, constant interaction. Because you know what? You can go around and around and around in the 50-50 date conversation and the who splits the mortgage conversation forever. You can do it forever. Whenever I have more recently dipped my toe into these discussions and overheard and what the talking points are. And I am now firmly on the gender wars are for stupid people train because the gender wars conversations are making people stupid. Maybe the people who engage in those conversations day in and day out didn't start off stupid. Maybe they didn't start there. But if you're doing that, the same thing over and over again, repetitive hit. anger, outrage. What did he say about me? I deserve a high-value man. What did you say about me, bitch? You don't deserve a six-figure man. 50-50. Bitch, you're not cute enough. You need to split the mortgage. Y'all are dusty and y'all are broke. And it's hitting on the same things. Ding, 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 ding. Dopamine receptors constantly firing off from the same provocations. The exact same, because nothing changed. Exact same arguments, exact same cues. Sure, tall, fat, skinny, broke, dusty, degree, weave. And people go back to it all the time. All the time. Once you get into the habit, I'm on my dopamine detox journey. I'm heavy on the dopamine detox shit. Once it's normalized, you gotta seek it out. You crave it. You gotta get the hit. Our days are numbered, We only have so many days, years, months on the planet. That's just not, it's just not the optimal use of time. We old people on the internet make fun of the Gen Z brain rot. We make fun of the Gen Alpha brain rot. I saw an Instagram reel the other day where football players, and boy, is it wild when you realize that the new professional football players are 22, 23. Whoa. But they were talking about ballerina, cappuccina. What was the other one? Sharkarini, Banini. I was so sick. I said, what? Brand rot. But gender wars is old people brain rot. That's my addition to this conversation. Now, conversations about gender in and of themselves are not brain rot. Because if you're talking about gender, you're talking about power dynamics, you're talking about culture, you're talking about social expectations, you're talking about the existential crises that accompany our inability to navigate modernity. Now, you can have good conversations about that, thoughtful. People can bring new stuff, new ideas, new research, new analyses, but also that stuff does impact in a dynamic way people's everyday lived experience. And when you're talking about gender, there are important, pressing things that a conversation about gender depression, gendered violence brings up that need our immediate attention. I'm going to direct y'all to the sexual violence. I'm sorry. Trigger warning. We're going to talk about sexual violence. The epidemic of sexual violence that has taken place in the Congo. How do you say his name? The man who runs the hospital. But he has led the charge, corralled resources in order to address the countless women and children who have been violated in the Congo. Now, if we're talking about gender, you're also talking about why sexual assault is deployed as a weapon of war. That's a thoughtful, non-brain rot conversation. Non-brain rot. Non-brain rot. A brain rot conversation is Halle Bailey is just another baby mama now, and she's mad because she's just a baby mama. That's a brain rot conversation. Okay? Do you see the difference? Do you see the difference? Now, this is important. Okay? Denis Mukwege is an internationally known figure recognized for his work treating survivors of sexual violence in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He founded Pansy Hospital in Bukavu in 1999, which has become a sanctuary for thousands of women and girls who have suffered sexual violence during conflicts in the region. Okay, now, I gave a few dollars. It's not a whole bunch. But if you have some extra resources, I know it's a crazy time. He has been recognized. He's literally received the Nobel Peace Prize for his work. There is, I actually linked behind the paywall an article from a surprising source, Christianity Today journalism, detailing the work that happens in the hospital that Dr. Mukwege oversees. But that's serious, okay? Now, look, I like mess, so I am not completely immune to brain rot. But even in my enjoyment of mess, there has to be some novelty. We can't just be susceptible to the clockwork. And I just can't. I think I am now really on this. Gender words are for stupid people, shotcanup.com. I'm really on this because I've been scared straight, you guys. I've been scared straight. I don't want to be a 45-year-old, 55-year-old, 60-year-old person talking about splitting bills. I don't. Like, that's actually a genuine fear. I don't want to be a solidly middle-aged person yelling on the internet, in a video, typing hard on a social media platform about not getting swiped on a social media app. The generations are lost from the youngest to the oldest. We're dealing with multi-generational brain rot, and we need to be able to spot it. We need to call it out, and we need to veer ourselves away from it because nobody knows the day or the hour. One, one gorilla versus 100 men. Now, that was a cute conversation for one day. One day. Multiple days of 100 men versus one gorilla. Multiple, you guys? Mm-mm. 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 I don't know if there's a name for it, but this phenomenon reminds me of the resentment anger that some have after growing up in a single parent household, held against the parent who stayed. Yeah, I just think, yes, people are mad. They're mad at their parents. They're disappointed. They're disappointed. They're frustrated. And I think that anger, disappointment, outrage, frustration are normal, part of life. Who hasn't had to deal with not getting exactly what you wanted, like not being exactly what you thought it was, wanting something and not being able to obtain it, but to be stuck in the loop, you guys? I'm telling y'all, I'm scared straight because I am seeing 40, 45, 50, 55, 60s, people in their 60s stuck in the loop. Okay? Pop, 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 pop. Why are people who graduated from high school in the 80s talking about the cost of dates? Don't y'all think that's weird? No, thankfully, my mom has dignity. She's not doing that. To my knowledge, none of my aunts or uncles, and I don't really be on Facebook like that, so they might be over there doing that. I'm really not sure. I'm genuinely not sure. And frankly, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. If y'all are talking about who splits the mortgage, I just know there's got to be more to life, okay? Stacy Orico said in about, wait, I'm gonna find it. Stacy Orico told us in 2003, there's got to be more to life than chasing out every temporary high to satisfy me. And I believe there's more. There's more. So that is what's been on my heart recently.